Minimizing the risk associated with foodborne pathogens in leafy green production is an important piece of U.S. agricultural production. I'm Dr. Kurt Nolte from the University of Arizona, and today joining me is Dr. Jeetu Patel, a research food technologist from the USDA Agricultural Research Service. Dr. Patel is an expert in the study of surface adhesion of microbes and pathogens in leafy greens. Dr. Patel, thank you for joining us today. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am a research scientist with the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Beltsville, Maryland. My primary research focus is on produce safety. I work on foodborne pathogens like E.Coli, 015787, Salmonella, and Listeria. How these pathogens get introduced into the food system. Once they introduced, how they persist and survive on those leafy grains. I work on irrigation water, soil amendments, and other environmental factors in produce contamination.
Dr. Patel, you've been working on contamination in leafy greens. Can you share with us some insight on the internalization of foodborne pathogens in, say, spinach?
Sure, Kurt. What previous studies on internalization have conflicting results. Many of those lab studies have not been repeated in a field study. In addition to those, external environments such as forced entry, inoculum level, and type of produce even affected internalization. What we did is, in our study, we used organic spinach and grew hydroponically as well as an in-soil system. And we found interesting that very, very high level of inoculum is required as well as root damage to influence internalization.
Interesting insight, Jeetu. I'm sure a lot of folks would be very interested in hearing more about that. So apparently root internalization is not of chief concern?
Yes, root uptake and transport is not a common event. In laboratory, significantly high level of inoculum was required. That kind of contamination may not be frequent in a real field. Secondly, regulatory agencies as well as LGMA have set up preventive controls, also known as gaps. And those gaps are on finished compost, restriction of raw manure, irrigation water criteria, animal intrusion, and so on. With those gaps in place, the potential for internalization is not a main concern to the farmers.
So, Dr. Patel, we're interested in varietal aspects of this. Is there any cultivar differences among persistence and pathogens?
Well, the surface of leaf, also known as leaf topography, of different spinach cultivar varies. What we observed is very high level of E.Coli 1.5 persistence on leaves of Waitiki spinach cultivars. And when we did confocal microscopy, we found these Waitiki cultivars had higher surface roughness and more stomata per unit area.
Dr. Patel, very informative, good information. This recent discovery will have a definite impact on the industry, I take it.
I think mostly farmers use yield, disease resistance, drug tolerance, and other parameters to select cultivar for their growing. What I think is if leaf surface characteristics or surface roughness is also used as a selection criteria, I believe potential for contamination of leafy greens will be reduced.
Fascinating, Dr. Patel. What's next in your line of research?
What we are doing is we are trying to control contamination at the pre-harvest level. And for that, we are using green manure to control pathogens in the soil. We found green manure from brassica plants contains glucosinolate hydrolyzed compounds, and these compounds have killed E.Coli 015787 in soil in our study. We also work with the compost validation process for static as well as window composting, and especially for small farmers, we using seed germination as an indication of finished compost. In the laboratory, we using different strain with different virulence factors and see their persistence on different leafy greens.
Thank you, Jeetu. Good information. That was Dr. Jeetu Patel, USDA Agricultural Research Service research food technologist. He shared with us some insight on the internalization of foodborne pathogens, particularly in spinach. They're not a chief concern, and down the road we could have varieties of spinach that are less susceptible to foodborne outbreaks. Thank you for watching. I'm Kurt Nolte.